What's up, y'all? Let's get into it about this war, this Israel situation, the situation with Donald Trump and Nosferatu. Um, so the big narrative from all the Trump supporters when they started jumping off the boat, um, the narrative that they clung to, because a lot of times we don't really live in like a humble world. So a lot of times people can't just admit wrong without explanation. They can't just admit um, lack of knowledge, lack of foresight, lack of um, history, lack of maybe education. Because it's like we defend things that don't mean X, right? So it's hard for somebody who is a public influencer or has a big platform to be humble, right? There always has to be like a silver lining or a sweetener or a disclaimer. The best thing you can do when you're wrong is just come out wholeheartedly without explanation and just say, look, I was wrong. This is why I stood behind this person. I got tricked. I thought it was going to be different. It wasn't. End of story. Subject closed, right? We ain't worrying about the responsibility part of being an influencer and swaying votes, right? We talked about that before with Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, all those people. We already talked about their influence and how many people they probably swayed, right? Because we worship celebrity. That's the scariest part. See, as an older person, you might be above influence in your mind. Young people are not. Young people are here to be influenced. And that's why I preach that there's a greater responsibility, because young people are learning everything for the first time. People with experience require better history and better foresight to be in a position of trying to sway anybody to vote for anyone. And then when you're told wrong or you get proven wrong, you need to own that if you're going to be responsible for influencing people, right? I don't give a shit what you do personally, but I'm saying this is the optics to anybody who's logical, anybody who is well versed in history, and anybody who can see through all the lies, all the bullshit, right? So this is why people who are in the middle, not Republican, not Democrat, the people who are in the middle, this is why they're important people, because they're the ones who aren't coming in with bias objectives, biased narratives, biased opinion. They're not coming in with a goal for one political party. They come in with a goal for the nation. They come in with foresight and history and knowledge of a nation, not just of one side or the other. We're not in a war. You know what I'm saying? We talk about conflicts, but we've been in a Cold War ever since the inception of democracy here, more so ever since the Civil War ended, right? We've been in a silent war, a Cold War in our own nation. And a Cold War isn't any better than an all out violent war, realistically, because it's just slower to get to the same bad result, right? So I'm clinging to this narrative here. So people like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Their whole narrative, Joe Rogan ain't really saying it so much. You can tell he's embarrassed. You know what I mean? You can tell I've never seen that guy. I mean, he's always done pretty good at playing dumb, but I've never seen him play this dumb. He feels stupid, and his ego is just forcing him to double down. He's a very egocentric person, and that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but when you know you fucked up royally and you can't just say that out of your mouth in front of your audience, you lose credibility. You lose respect. You don't lose respect for making mistakes. I mean, you do in society, but you shouldn't lose respect for making a mistake or bad choices or whatever, but you do lose respect when you can't own your shit, when you can't say like, oh, I messed up. You know what I mean? I should have did this better. I should have did more research. Or better yet, as an influencer with the responsibility I have, I should work really hard. See, this is the problem. I should work really hard to make sure that I'm being unbiased and I'm not swaying people's decisions. I'm just giving them information and allowing them to make their own decisions. That's not what these groups did. These groups advocated for this. They pushed it. They belittled the opposition. And this is what you get in result, right? The narrative is from these people is that Trump has been taken over. Trump has been bullied and blackmailed and stepped on and held hostage. That he was this fantastic man who was going to do all these great things and he was going to make America back like it was in the 40s or the 60s or whenever. I mean, I don't know. I'm confused. All we did was, so you look at the boom period with the industrial complex and the industrial revolution. All that did, same thing with the suffrage movement, equality, and all these different things. All that did was backload the problem. It didn't fix anything. It didn't make America sustainable or make America thrive. It just backloaded debt, backloaded issues that they didn't have solutions for, backloaded problems. So it's like they're chasing constantly bad money after bad money after bad money. We started slavery. This was not that we started it, but here in America, we implemented slavery as a business model, right? I mean, I don't know, dude. Maybe the natives had slaves. We know that the African tribes had slavery. We know that in Egypt, we know the history of slavery. I'm not going to belabor the point. We're done with that. I'm not going to belabor the point. But here in America, we used it as our business model to build the country, right? We see this as a problem now, and we're going to correct the issue, right? Right. Okay, but we didn't actually have a plan in place to correct the issue. Now, we can debate about if that issue was ever meant to be corrected or not. I don't think so. I think it was intentionally sabotaged, and making them free was the only way to implement them into society as voters. I don't know how else to say it. And then on top of that, being voters, they wrote things in a way to keep the threat or the fear suppressed and oppressed. It's the same thing with the racial caste system, right? They want to keep the threat oppressed. Your government is always afraid of a rebellion. They're always afraid that we're going to wake up, stand up, and put an end to the shit because we easily could. Okay? We watch other countries that are less than us. We brag as Americans. We brag about how great we are, how big we are, how tough we are, how dangerous we are in the garden and all that, dumbass shit. And we boast and tout all the guns we have. And, so we easily, if we stood up, we easily could revolt. We easily could shut this shit down for everybody, right? Okay. They don't want that. So everything they do is to prevent that. They're afraid of that, right? Okay? And properly so. They should be, after all they've done. And just the way they behave as models, right? The government loves to come behind you and say, I hear a lot of you people, this is a judge's famous line, or a politician's famous line. I hear all you people whine about the system. I hear all you people blame the system, but what about the parents? Right. You like to implement the whole entire way we exist, everything that you see around you other than nature. And then when things don't go well, or you're asked to accept some accountability as the model, the leader of us, you shift the blame back on us. You don't take any responsibility for the state of your nation. You don't take any responsibility for the state of the people. You don't take any responsibility for any of it. You actually just stick your hand out and say, please give me more for my shitty job that I've done for however long this country has existed. So again, that was chasing bad money after bad money after bad money, because there was never really a plan. Desegregation was a joke. Affirmative action was a joke. It was all a joke. None of it was actually done to have success or to actually liberate those people. It wasn't done for that cause, because if it was, they could have easily implemented something. There was plenty of land still that was unturned. There was plenty of land that they were yet to conquer. There was plenty of land and resources and money to give. You see what I mean? They had it to give. They just chose not to. And then, to make matters worse, to prove my point, when the people who were slaves, who are now free, when they started to build and do it on their own without the help, it was often sabotaged and destroyed. So that's proof right there. That's what blows my mind. People that cling to this patriot, people that cling to this loyalty to shit that they had no choice in. I didn't have a choice in being born here. I just was. And it's easy for a lot of people who, most of which couldn't do so even if they wanted to as well, just tell everybody who complains, you don't like it here, leave. But these are the same people that when the other party wins, they complain and never shut the fuck up. They'll never shut up. Whine, 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 bitch, bitch, bitch. Both sides. You don't like it, leave. This is democracy. You don't like it, leave. I could say the same thing. But see, that's just deflection, because when you stand in the middle and you talk about the real issues that affects both sides, that affects all people, they can't handle it. So that's why they don't like the people in the middle. That's why they hate us the most, because they have a hard time arguing with us, because all their little slurs don't work on us. All their little labels don't work on us. And all their narrative, all their argument that they've spent their whole life building for this side that is bullshit, it doesn't work on us. So they don't have an argument, because we're just speaking from logic and we're speaking from solution. We're looking for real solutions, not more division, not more two countries inside of a country having a war every 4 years. We're not looking for that. We're looking for unity and resolution. How can that be wrong? And I could exhaust myself and trash Democrats. I could exhaust myself and trash Republicans. I could do it. I've done it on here plenty, and it's all facts. It's not bullshit. It's not made up. It's not a narrative. It's just facts. It's just the way the events went down in history and the way they still are going down. So anyway, let's get to this possessed president of ours. So that was their big excuse. Oh, Trump was a really great guy and he was going to save us all, but then Israel got to him. Hold up. You said we're the biggest, baddest, best country in the world. Isn't that what you guys say? Ain't that what y'all say? It don't sound like it when you say that. It sounds like Israel is the biggest, baddest country in the world, which is mind-blowing if you look at numbers, if you look at stats, if you're realistic. Well, they got blackmailed. Okay, so that means if they got blackmail, that means that this probably isn't a very good person that you have in power then. You're grasping at straws when you could easily just come out and say, I fucked up. It's not that hard. That's how you grow. They want to jump in the middle without saying it. So they want to fall to the middle because they have nowhere to turn. They built their whole platform on supporting this side and attacking that side. This side now disappointed them in the most extreme way we've seen in a very long time. And they can't join the other side, so they fall to the middle and they make an excuse for their side because they haven't really fallen to the middle. I guarantee you that those people that I mentioned will vote Republican again, even if they do so in secret. And it's not going to change their stance. It makes no sense for them to go join a side that they've spent their whole lives destroying and bad talking and shooting down. And they also don't feel comfortable or safe staying aligned with this current administration. So they're going to fall to the middle just for the time being, bastardize what the middle is, and then jump back to their side when it's time to vote. Because if they don't, then they're preaching dissension or protest, boycott, right? So just pay attention because they are going to get behind somebody. You'll see. So self-indulgent, they'll become a candidate and they'll get behind each other because that's what we're seeing. That's what we're looking at. So now let's hear a quote from Donald Trump. They don't call the shots, I do. They don't give the orders, I do. They don't make the rules, I do. Oh, cool. So you look over to the people and say, did you hear what he said? Is he lying? So now everything that he says now is going to be a lie. Oh, Israel's got him. They got him by the back of his neck. And every time he goes to say what he really wants to say, they do this and he says what they want him to say. He's under a spell. He went to Israel and they performed a ceremony on him, or they sent people over here and they sent their most powerful Jewish witches over here to, come on, man. Come on, be real. Is it Israel that's telling him he needs to focus 50% of his time on a ballroom while we're in the middle of a war? While all the economics are dipping? While people are silently quitting life? While violence is picking up everywhere you go? Not regular violence, not domestic violence, mass violence. While we watch Mother Nature have a hissy fit daily, and we're more worried about a ballroom made of gold with bulletproof glass. But we haven't realized yet that our government is the mob. That's some mob Scarface shit. I need this with bulletproof this, and you still got shot to shit in your own house. They crept in your own back window and shot you in your back. That bulletproof fucking car didn't do shit for you. You see what I mean? We got money for that shit, right? And that's the government in a nutshell. You keep thinking that these people have good intentions for you and us, and they don't. They don't give a shit. As long as we keep clocking the fuck in and buying shit every day, that's all they care about. That's the only thing that points to them that they don't have to change anything. We still spend money, we still clock in. That's literally it. That's everybody's like puzzled, like, oh, we don't know what to do, so we're just gonna keep voting and crossing our fingers, voting and praying. No, you just quit. That's all you got to do. The problem is a lot of people lack the courage because they feel like not enough people will do it with them. They don't have the discipline to see it through the long haul. That's why they've created this ADD society and this self-gratifying, pleasure sense chasing society. This be like the Joneses, everybody's got to do what everybody else does society, because that's the easiest formula. They keep us buried under shame and labels and all kinds of shit, stress. That's all intentional. It's spirit breaking. They want to break your spirit. When you resist, when you pull away, when you don't conform, when you don't comply, when you quit, watch your whole world change. Just for yourself, how you feel, how you see things, the clarity, you'll see right through it. People were trying to warn us in the 70s that technology was going to be the end of us. People tried to warn us again in the late 80s. People tried to warn us again in the 90s. People tried to warn us in the early 2000s. People are still trying to warn us. This is what cracks me up. You got people coming out being like, oh, AI is antichrist. These phones are antichrist. Like they've had some new discovery, like God came down and spoke to them. We got history of plenty of other people saying that same shit. Long, long, long before it was even in households. Now we're finding out people were speaking out against it and warning people of exactly what you see right here, right now. They were warning you that shit in the 70s. When the computers hit main common households in the 90s, then it really started getting talked about. Preachers got involved, priests got involved, going into households one at a time, saving the young kids from internet porn and violent video games and murder music. You see what I mean? It's not new. Now the problem is you just have it in every hand, every face. The final distraction, the final tool of division, the final tool of selfishness and narcissistic society. Because now we all famous and ain't none of us getting the benefits. Pennies on a dollar. Hollywood complained about it. They tried to warn us that shit. They tried to warn us too. They boycotted and protested because they were getting ripped off. Same with the artists. They were getting ripped off. The musicians, they were getting ripped off. They've been crying about it. They've been dying over it. They've been suing over it. They've been fighting over it. They've been getting locked up over it. Now it's just everyone. Everyone has that possibility. The lights, camera, action. And I got a video on here where everybody else has a video and now I'm famous. And it's not even that. You don't even have to do all that. Just being on social media alone gives you this illusion, and everybody's doing everything for self-gratification. Nobody's actually doing it with any purpose other than that. And be real with yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, and you're watching the big public influencers who get the most views. You're watching them prove it to you right in front of your face. You're watching them prove it to you. And that's the danger, you know what I'm saying? That's why you got to respect art, musicians and movie stars, producers who try to tell you the truth. You just don't want to listen. And then you got the ones that are misleading you and you think they're misleading you, but they have to. That's their job. And you need to read between the lines because they will be virtual They'll be signaling to you. They'll be sending you signals, and it's just a matter of you picking it up or not. So I'm curious to see what these people will say when confronted. And I kind of already know they're gonna cop out. You know what I'm saying? So if you confront one of these people about this, like, hey, you said he was a puppet. He just said he's calling all the shots. So is Israel really the bad guy that you're making it out to be, or has it been us all along? They're having a war with someone. We don't have to be involved. It has nothing to do with us. They're neighbors. Let them fight. We're not fighting with Canada and Mexico. We buy things from Mexico, and to me personally, Canada's always seemed like a pretty cool, chill, peaceful, beautiful country, if you ask me. And Mexico, they got a lot of business interests there. So, but he was gonna stop that. He was gonna put an end to that shit, wasn't he? I haven't seen that happen yet. Blowing up random fishing boats ain't stopping the drug trade, bro. That's not what I thought you was gonna do. I thought you was gonna go to war. If you were gonna start a war, you made it seem like that was the war you were gonna wage. And I'm sure a lot of people who grew up in addiction and families of addiction, we were sitting back waiting. Like, oh, are you going to be the one to stop this shit? You wasn't going to stop it by building a wall, and you ain't going to stop it by going to war. You're just going to go over there and enforce control. That's all you're going to do. And the business is going to stay the same. It's just now you're going to get all the benefits instead of just some of the benefits. And that's all we're really doing. That's all it's ever been about. It's never been about justice. It's never been about right and wrong. It's never been about liberation. It's been about control. Access to resources, money, power, and control. That's all it's ever been about. We're just advanced pirates. We're the same people we've always been. Cut the shit. Let's cut the shit. So if we want a change, it's a wholesale change. It's not a new Democrat or a new Republican, because they work for the same organization. It don't matter if they're on different teams or not. When they're all done, they're gonna sign each other's jerseys. Everybody, you notice something crazy, and this is something that I just want people to focus on. You notice how big wrestling has crossed over? Even though it's not popular, it's nowhere as near as popular as it was when I was a kid. Not even close, not even close. They shouldn't even survive this long if you look at it. So this is the first time in my life where it's not treated like a mockery, and it's actually embraced by the NFL. It's embraced by basketball. It's embraced by Hollywood. It's embraced by the news. It's like mainstream now. Oh, you think so? Because Vince McMahon, all he did was turn the government's business model into entertainment, and that's all it is. The world is WWE, and I've been saying that shit for a long time. And I've been sitting there like admiring Vince McMahon. Like, Vince McMahon exposed everything. Once you see it, once you put it together, because the UFC is bullshit, football's bullshit, basketball's bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all gladiator shit. Then all of a sudden gambling became like a household thing now. I bet you got more gamblers now than you've ever had in history. And I bet you it's by a large number, not by a small one. Is that cool? Same thing with drugs and alcohol and all the other shit. Is that cool? So, I mean, the young kids are trying. I see a lot of potential with the new generation. I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that talks shit. Like, yeah, they're a little bit different. They're a little lazier than we were. They're a little more reserved than we were. They're a little more quiet, maybe. But for the most part, man, they just are good kids like we used to be until we became fucked up, brainwashed, and lost in the same world. And you know it can happen to them too. And it already is slowly. You're already watching slowly that generation get sucked right into it. Right? So I don't look at it like a good thing. And I really wish we'd be more honest instead of lying and being deceitful and withholding and all that shit just to suit a narrative. You can't have a platform crying about truth and wanting truth while you deceive, withhold, and manipulate your own situation and your own stance and your own beliefs and your own representation. That's all I'm saying.